Good evening. Good evening. It's a smaller group, so feel free if you want to come out a little closer, do the whole traditional briefing thing where you say fill in the seat. I'm just kidding, I won't do that to you. Welcome to Storytellers. I'm Master Sergeant Will McDougall, and it is my distinct honor and pleasure to be with you guys tonight. We had an awesome show earlier in the morning, and I anticipate it'll be just as awesome this evening. You know, a few years ago, General Mark Welsh, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, was standing with a bunch of cadets, and he coined a phrase: every airman has a story. What's yours? Not too long after that, the former Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, James Roy, challenged the entire Air Force community by saying, listen, we need to open up the lines of communication and dialogue with our airmen. And so with that, a group of awesome folks at Insular Lake Turkey came up with the Storytellers initiative. And it has essentially three goals. One, to motivate airmen, and that's big aim. Two, to inspire. And three, to do what the chief said. Open up those lines of communication by doing something like this. Having folks share their stories and open up to others. And that's what we're here to do tonight. So before I begin, I just want to let you know that today, with it being a down day and the focus on resiliency, most of the stories that you will hear tonight are about that. Hard, challenging, resilient stories. And so because of that, we asked a few support agencies to be with us tonight, just in case any of you in the audience are moved and want to talk. We have some mental health folks in here. If you're here, raise your hand. Right there. We have one mental health folk.
There's more. They're just hiding. I won't point them out.
And we have some victim advocates over there. Also, if there's any first sergeants in the room. Anyone? No, not this time around? Okay. So essentially, the goal of tonight is to let everybody know that if you're struggling with something in your life, or you know people that are struggling, you don't have to be alone, and neither do they. Talk to each other. With that, I'll introduce our first speaker. You know, it's funny, you hear the expression, you have hills to climb, right? I think there was a country song about that, right? There's hills to climb, people have to climb mountains, and those are those challenges that you have in your life, and they're kind of expected, right? No one really expects to have to climb Everest, and our first speaker of the night pretty much had to do that. Introducing Airman Amara from the 4th Medical Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm First Class Charles Amara. Work at the Med Group, work in mental health, and my story. I'm sorry.
Just talk about rainbows.
Rainbows. My story doesn't have a title, but if it did, I would call it, everything has a happy ending, and there's always hope in the future. So, to give you a quick background, my parents are from West Africa, Sierra Leone. They moved to Russia to study and go to school. My father was into diplomatic works in church and things like that. My mom was studying Russian, so that was two odd things completely. They met, they had me in 1993. I was born there. We lived in Russia for 9 years. My brother was also born, and then we moved to New York, upstate New York, and around Binghamton, if anyone's familiar with that area. Binghamton was a very special place for me because I met a lot of my friends. My two friends, Josh and Amir, were very close to me, very deep guys. Got in trouble together, did stupid stuff together, learned together, pushed each other, so close friends. But most of all, I met my wife, Sarah, who's sitting right there. Can you wave? Yes. So, like I said, my dad's a minister, so one day he was having a little event at the church, like a soup kitchen event. And I'm working, just moving around, working. This is about 9th grade. 9th grade, yeah. So I'm working, doing my thing, and then I'm just sitting, looking at the door, and in comes in Sarah. And at the time, I knew of her, and she knew of me, but we didn't really speak. So she comes in, and the first thing I thought of was, I gotta get her number, I gotta talk to her. So we talked, we started talking, what's your name, where are you from, what do you do, blah, blah, blah. So we get into it a little bit. Something in me just said, I gotta get your number. So I'm like, what is it? What's your number? Can I have a hug? And from there, we started talking, we started dating, and weeks turned to months and so on. And a little after that, moved to Pennsylvania, northeast Wilkes-Barre area, hour and a half from Philly. And around Pennsylvania is where I learned that our relationship just had very strong ties. We always talked. Instead of the long distance typical breakup, we got stronger and we supported each other, and I knew she was the one. So 6 years went by, we're still dating, we're still going out, families are close, and the love is getting stronger. And I'm working, making good money, and I figured I don't want to live in my parents' house forever. I don't want to do the same thing. I gotta get out of here, I gotta do something. If you knew me before the military, you'd know that I'm not a military type of person. I'm the last type of military guy you find. But I always had ambition, I always had some kind of drive in me, and Sarah knew that, and she pushed me to do something good. So went to the recruiter's office, and I joined. The whole time, she was always with me. She always pushed me, she always motivated me, she was always my guide, my friend, and obviously we were engaged at the time. And got married after basic, and it was a great day. My best friend, Amir, was my best man. Our families came through, and it was a great event. It was something special for us. And moved to North Carolina after basic, and here we are at Seymour, small base, not a lot to do, but it's us. We're living our life, so there's a lot to do. We can do whatever we want. We can go anywhere. We can do anything. So started our life, and the first thing we did was start talking about family. Obviously, since we're together, Sarah was very persistent about getting pregnant. She really wanted that. I want a baby, I want a family, I want to have a family. And I wanted one too, I can't lie. I'm a guy, I can't really show my emotions, but I did want a family. And so we pushed for it, and this was during the exercise last year. I found out that, I worked the night shift, so I'm sleeping the whole time. And she wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, she's like, Charles, check this test out. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, babe, yeah, it's and there's a really, really light line on it, so I'm just thinking, nah, she's not pregnant, whatever. But yeah, you're pregnant, cool, congratulations, I'm going back to sleep. So, next day, I think to myself, hold up, we might actually be pregnant, like this is real, the feeling actually hit me. And I started telling everyone at work, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna be a dad, I'm excited, I'm gonna be a dad, I'm gonna have a mixed baby, he's gonna have crazy hair, it's gonna be awesome, it's gonna be so cool. So I'm excited. And as time goes by, she's starting to get sick and her stomach gets bigger, and I'm just like, wow, seeing my best friend turn into a mom, because I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of her, and seeing how she went through that was really awesome. So, telling everybody about it, family's excited, we're thinking of names, and something in me and her just automatically knew we're gonna have a daughter, and this is way ahead of time. And I just knew I'm gonna have a baby girl. I'm gonna teach her stuff, I'm gonna teach her how to make music. I love music, I love fish, I travel, I used to see fish before I joined. I love making music, so I'm like, she's gonna be a little fish head. She's gonna love it, she's gonna go to shows with me, it's gonna be awesome. So, time goes by, Sarah was 20 months into the pregnancy, and she started feeling something, like something was going on physically with her body. She felt a little off, but nothing crazy. The baby always moved, the baby always kicked, so nothing new. But, she started having weird symptoms. She'd feel a little sick, she'd feel moving in the bag. And one day, out of nowhere, she just, there was some kind of like discharge, like water breaking. We thought to ourselves, like, that's weird, Maybe is that normal? There was a little bit of blood, not to be graphic, but we called the doctor. Doc, what's going on? What's happening? What do we do about this? Doctor says it's normal. Just wait it off. Come through in 2 or 3 days. Okay, first time, no big deal. 2 or 3 days. The whole time I'm thinking, I hope it's nothing crazy, but I know it's not. Sarah's a little concerned, but she's thinking, no big deal. It's just discharge. We go into the doctors at Wayne Memorials, and I remember the doctor, doing his checkups, doing the routine, just checking up. And then I saw a look on his face. He kind of looked a little surprised, like, this is weird. And he went away, and he came back, and he had to break the news to us that Sarah, was going to give birth, and she was in preterm labor. And this is 20 weeks along, and it was very hard knowing that, well, we're going to give birth now, like, what's going to happen? This is it. So we were told that no, the baby's not going to survive, and there's no survival chance. It's not going to be able to breathe. It's not going to be able to do anything. So CL, who's our daughter's name, CL, Aaliyah, Amara, Sarah gave birth to CL September 29th of 2000, last year, excuse me. And being at the hospital was just, it was the craziest feeling, having to go through that, having to know that it's only a matter of hours before my daughter's here and then she leaves. It's not like I'm not going to the hospital with a feeling of, oh, it's awesome, they push, let's do it. It was a feeling of, wow, this is it. We can only wait to see what happens. So Sarah goes into labor, and around 5:50 or later, around 5 o'clock, CL was born. And instead of just dying, or instead of passing away right off the bat, we were told that she has some life in her. And this aspect itself just it gave me some kind of hope. And I was there for my wife, and she was very upset. And it was a crazy time, but we spent about 5 hours with our daughter before she passed away. And the thing I could remember the most is seeing her little face and seeing her cheeks and just thinking, man, she's got my cheeks, she's got my family's cheeks, and seeing her little hands and just seeing how she was just, it really did break my heart, knowing that I wasn't going to bring this baby home and I wasn't going to be able to raise her, teach her how to walk, how to talk, and how to be a person, how to play music, how to be a friend, how to ride a bike, anything like that. And it was a very tragic moment. Both moms came down immediately, so the supportive family was there. And the day after, when we got back to our house on base, the feeling that I felt, I've never felt before. It was something like being disconnected from reality. I felt like I was just above everything. I just saw myself sitting there on the couch. The days went by, time flew by, and my baby wasn't there. And my wife's just crying, and she's upset, and it's like life wasn't a real thing. But, CL gave us hope, her passing gave us strength, and I know, she's still with us. So that's what pushed me, and that's what pushed us. And luckily, Sarah and I are doing very well, and we're moving on from that, and life's getting better. So fast forward a month from that event, Sarah gets news that, she's got an infection from the pregnancy before, and they're going to have to do some kind of surgery. Nothing major, but just something procedural. So we go to the hospital, and one of my friends, Josh, from home, gives me a call just out of nowhere, And like I said, Josh and Amir are my two friends. Amir, the whole time, is I'll just describe my friends. Amir is like this Arab kid. He's from Afghanistan, his family was, and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and he was just the coolest kid. He was cool, he was motivated, he was awesome, he had a lot of, potential in him, and he sure did. He achieved a lot in his life. And Josh was this huge Puerto Rican kid, just fat, big guy, just football, bulky dude, and he was funny, and that was my guy. And, Amir was my best man at the wedding, and he always told me everything except for certain things. Amir had Crohn's disease, and he was going through that the whole time since I was in New York. So it was nothing crazy for me to know that, Amir's sick, So for something to come up, for me to get news that Amir's not feeling good wasn't too uncommon. So Josh called while I was at the hospital, and he was just saying, man, I hate to break it down to you. I hate to tell it over the phone, but Amir's got cancer. And I'm thinking, man, I haven't talked to him for a while. Like, what do you mean he's got cancer? How did this happen? And Josh just said the Crohn's disease, it turned into rectal cancer, and it spread to be intestinal cancer. And Amir had about 5 months to live. So I just dropped everything. I was like, I'm on my way. I'll be right there. I'll do whatever I got to do to make it. Next day, I get a call saying the doctor says Amir was in hospice, so the doctor came to the house. Josh sent me a picture of him, and he was just laying on the couch, like dried up and lifeless. And Josh was saying, man, he's got like a month to live. They narrowed it down. He's got a month. So I get in the car. I make my way up to New York. I get about an hour away from Amir's house, and I just have this feeling, man, I got to see him before he goes. I know he's going to go, but I got to be there. I get a call from our friend, and it was Elizabeth, a female friend, and she was just breaking down on the phone, crying. She was all upset. And she says, Amir's dead. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. And I was an hour away and I missed him too. You know, CL's gone and now Amir's gone, and they're both away from my life, away from my heart, away from me, you know. So I just broke down crying. I parked the car and I just totally broke down, and I never broke down like that. CL made me feel that the most, and then Amir made me feel that again. And I remember praying in the car and just asking God, like, God, please, please make me strong and give me strength to be able to deal with this, and put me in the right place, put me in the right frame of mind, and give me support. And at that moment, I felt like Amir and CL were in the car with me, and they just said, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Keep your head high and keep going. And ever since that moment, it was it. That was it. That's all I needed, and I've been motivated. And it's just, it was disappointing having that happen the way it did, you know, losing two important people in my life. And Sarah's dad, my father-in-law, Ken, I remember talking to him on the phone, and he told me, it's sad that it happens, but death comes in threes. And I remember thinking, that's a little weird, that's kind of dark. And he was just saying, it always happens in threes, you know. Thought left my mind, and I'm thinking, I hope nothing happens to Sarah. If anything ever happened to her, I don't know what I'd do. So a month later, again, 3 months, my brother calls me, and he tells me that, you know, Charles, Mom's crying. She's in the background. I hear her. She's just yelling. Mom's crying. Why is she crying, Paul? What's going on? Did something happen? What's going on in the family? And Paul told me my grandmother passed away. Now, I was never too close to my grandmother. She wasn't really, she lived overseas in Sierra Leone, West Africa, and I never really met her too much. I met her once, but it wasn't like you know, my grandma makes me cookies all the time. It wasn't that kind of thing. But the fact that she was gone, and I lost 3 important people in my life, just spun my world around. And but however, and this is the uplifting part, I saw something in my family. I saw my family overseas and my family here connect. Everyone came together. Everyone celebrated the death, and everyone was there. Everyone supported each other. Nobody missed a beat. Nobody skipped out. Nobody abandoned anybody. It was all together. And that's one thing I got from my grandmother, is that family comes first, no matter what. And that's what my family was all about. And now, my wife and I are doing much better, and I love her. I love her with all my heart, and I'm always there for her, and she's always there for me. And my workplace, I work in mental health, so it's a perfect place for a situation like this. My supervisor, Sergeant Beaker, she's here. She definitely supported me. My providers and coworkers also gave me support. And I just learned to never give up. You can't give up just because something happens. Life always goes on. You can't drop everything and die, because that doesn't solve anything. You always have to believe in yourself. You always have to have perseverance, and you always have to understand that those who are gone will always be with you, even if they're not physically here. So I always pray to CL, I always pray to Amir, and I always pray to my grandmother every day since they passed away. I haven't missed a beat, and I never will. So Everest is a tall mountain, but you can always climb it, and you can always overcome it. So that's my story.